You're welcome back. So today I'm going to be showing you how to insert a ready-made cup into your bustier. So this is the commonest one. This white one is the commonest one, which is just the one with the hollow center, and this is the double padded one, which is actually new. They just started bringing it, so we're going to be using the white one, which you can easily get. All right, so for this class I'm going to be using my princess that's bustier with yoke, which I've shown you how to draft in one of my previous tutorials. You may want to head up to that video to watch first before coming here to join us on this tutorial. The only difference here is that this one is going to be a sweetheart yoke, that is a deep V yoke. All right, so let's get into the class. So first I'm going to cut out my yoke, and then I'll go ahead and cut out the borders. So this is my yoke, and then this is the body of the bustier. Alright, so the next thing now is to cut out the yoke, and I'm using a skin tone net to cut out the yoke. So like I said in the previous class, you need to first check the direction of the stretch before you can fold your net. So I'm going to be folding the net into 4 because I want it to be into 2 pieces so that I can use one to line the other. So the next thing I'll do is just to place the cutout yoke that already cut out. I will just place it on top of the net, and I'm going to add my seam allowance of 1/2 inch to the bottom part of the yoke, and I'm going to cut that out. You mustn't really use a net. You can use any fabric of your choice. It must not be a net. You can even use any color of net. It mustn't be this nude color. So you can just use anything you like. Alright, so I've added the 1/2 inch to the bottom part of the yoke. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. So as you can see from here, I added 1/2 inch to the bottom part of the yoke. Alright, so I'm going to be showing us how to sew the bustier and how to insert our ready-made cup, and also how to sew a deep V net into the bustier. Alright, so this is the body of the dress, and I'm going to be joining the panels together. So first you're going to place the right side of one of the side panel to the center panel, and then you're going to join together with 1/2 inch seam allowance. After that, you're going to take the second side of the panel, and then you're going to place it to the second side of the center panel, and then you join it together also with 1/2 inch seam allowance. So when you're done, the next thing to do is to notch your seam. You notch it, and then you press it open. Alright, so this is the main body. We're going to keep that aside, and then we're going to repeat the same step to the lining. Alright, this is the lining. I'll join it together. So the next thing you want to do to the lining is to notch it at the underbust. This is the underbust here, so you have to notch it. Or if you don't know the position of the underbust, just turn it to the right side, and you know the shock is on the right side, so you notch where the underbust line is. You notch the 2 sides at the underbust. All right, so when you're done, the next thing to do is to push your seam allowance towards the center, and then you're going to top stitch. You top stitch in such a way that there will be, in case you want to add boning into the channel, you top stitch in such a way that the space will be able to accommodate your boning. But for this class, I'm not going to be adding boning to the lining because I'm going to be creating channel on the body later on. Alright, so after top stitching, you close the underbust like I'm showing you here, so that by the time you insert your boning, the boning is not going to be coming out from there. So just top stitch the underbust like so. Alright, so this is the lining and I'm done top stitching the dart line. So for more support, assuming you're just making the regular bustier, for more support you can insert your boning to the channel starting from your waistline. Alright, so the first thing I'm using this one is not a regular boning, this is just the plastic boning. So first I'm going to file the mouth just the way I've shown you here, so that it's not going to be poking out from the dress, and then I'll insert the regional boning inside the channel. Alright, so since I'm using a skin tone net for the yoke, I'm going to be changing my thread to a machine thread. So I'm going to first place one of the yoke down and I'll place the other one on top of it, because we're going to be using one to line the other. So use a machine thread. You can easily get the machine thread in the market, so use the machine thread for the yoke. Alright, so I'm going to start the sewing from the neckline, and I'm going to stitch the neckline with 1/2 inch seam allowance. Alright, so I'm done sewing the neckline. The next thing you want to do is to trim off the excess of the neckline. You cut it very close to your seam, but you're not going to cut that seam. Cut it very close to it, so that by the time you turn it to the right side, you will barely notice if there's seam there at all. Alright, so I'm done cutting out the seam allowance. So the next thing is to turn it to the right side. Alright, so this is how it looks from the right side. You can see, you can barely notice the sewing on the neckline. Alright, so this is our progress so far. This is the main body all joined together. This is the lining piece all joined and prepared. And then this is the yoke. Alright, so the next thing we're going to be doing now is to insert the ready-made breast cup, and we're going to be fixing this on the lining. So this is the lining, and if you notice, we notched the underbust. Alright, so what you're going to be doing is to place the ready-made cup on your underbust. The bottom part will be touching your underbust, but because this ready-made cup comes with just 1/4 inch seam allowance, you are going to be moving it a little, like 1/4 inch higher than the underbust. So just move it a little higher like so with 1/4 inch. Alright, so the next thing you want to do is to pin it. So just press the center and then you pin it with the lining like so. By the time you do this, you are pinning it directly on the nipple point. You're pinning it directly on the nipple point. Alright, then another thing I want you to notice is that this hollow part is the one facing, you see, this hollow part is the one facing the wrong side of the lining. Right now, the wrong side of the lining is the one facing up, and then the hollow part is facing the wrong side of the lining directly. Alright, so you just push it in this way and then you pin. By doing that, you're pinning it exactly on the nipple point. Make sure you align the two of them together, let them be on the same level. And you can see this is how it's looking from the inside. So the next thing you're going to be doing now is to stitch it together. So just follow the same allowance on the cup. This cup comes with 1/4 inch seam allowance, so just sew on that 1/4 inch. So when you're done with one cup, you also do the same thing to the second cup. Please kindly subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed, and please click the notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a new video. Thanks. Alright, so when you're done stitching the two down parts, the next thing is to stitch the upper part of the cup. And before you do that, you need to turn it to the right side and then ensure you align the lining to follow the shape of the cup. You can stitch the upper part from the right side if you want, or you can still stitch it from the wrong side depending on what you find easy. So I'm stitching it from the wrong side. What matters is just for you to arrange it in such a way that the lining will follow the shape of the cup, after which you're going to stitch the upper part with 1/4 inch seam allowance. Alright, so I'm done stitching the upper part and you can see how it's looking. You can see the way the lining follow the hollow part of the cup. You can see it. So that is it. You can see how it's looking from the wrong side. This is the wrong side of the lining, and this is how everything is looking. And then this is the right side. Once again, you can see the way it's looking. Alright, so moving on, we're going to be inserting the yoke to the bodice now. So first you take the main bodice and you're going to fold it into two, the way I'm showing you like this, and you're going to be notching that V shape in front. You notch with 1/4 inch. Don't cut too much, just make a little cut, about 1/4 inch. Then you open it. You can see the notching is just a small notch. So you're going to take the yoke and you're going to be folding it into two again. Fold it into two this way, and then you notch the center about 1/4 inch also. And note, the notching on the net is at the bottom part, not on the neckline. It's at the bottom part where the V shape is. And the right side of the net will also be facing the right side of the main body. So when you're done making your notch, you match the two notching together, the notching on the net and the notching on the main bodice. You match it together and then you pin. And from that point, you pin the net to the bodice all the way to the right and also to the left. Alright, so I'm done pinning. The next thing I'm going to do now is to stitch the two of them together with 1/4 inch seam allowance. 1/4 inch seam allowance. So when you're making your stitch, when you get to that V part, you're going to keep the needle in and then you are going to rotate the fabric. You rotate the fabric, then you continue stitching. And you continue stitching till you get to the other side of the yoke. Alright, so I'm done stitching the yoke to the bodice, and this is how it's looking. So what you're going to be doing next, you can see my seam. I stitch with just 1/4 inch. Alright, so what you're going to be doing next is to match the lining with the main bodice. You see, turn the bodice to the right side, and then the right side of the lining will be facing the right side of the main bodice. So you're going to be pinning the lining. You notch the center of the V on the lining with 1/4 inch. Notch it a little, just the way you notched the main bodice earlier. So mash it together at the center this way, and then you are going to be pinning it. You pin the two of them together. You pin the two of them together like this. You pin to the left and also you pin to the right, like so. Alright, so when you're done pinning, you can see I've pinned it together. So what you're going to be doing next is to turn the fabric like this so that you can see the previous seam you have on the main bodice, and you're going to be stitching again on that same line, that same seam you made earlier on the main bodice. So just follow that line, and when you get to the midway, that is the center of the V, you keep the needle in and then you rotate the fabric again, and then you continue stitching till you get back to the other end of the clothes. Don't forget you are still sewing on the same line you made earlier. Alright, so I'm done stitching. I'll take off my pins, and then after that I'm going to notch my seam all around, and make sure you don't cut your seam line. Just notch close to the seam and don't cut your seam line. Okay, so I'm done notching. So the next thing I'm going to do is to close the side like this. So the right side of the lining is already facing the right side of the main dress, so you just close the sides like this, and after that you can turn it to the right side. Alright, so this is how it's looking from the right side. You can see the cup is already in between the lining and the main dress, and you can see how beautiful the V shape yoke is. So you can see how beautiful it is. It is neatly done, and from the wrong side it's looking like this. Alright, so that's the end of the class for today. In the next class, I'm going to be showing you how to cut out the basque effect on your princess dat bustier, and the material I use for the bodice. I'm going to be talking about it, so watch out for that class. Bye.